The desert planet of Korath was quiet, almost too quiet. Dust storms swept across the barren plains, turning the sun into a dim orange glow. The human colony there was small, no more than a few hundred people, scattered across domed habitats and solar farms. Among them was Ethan Carter, a young engineer known for his courage and stubbornness. Ethan had always loved exploring, venturing into the harsh deserts beyond the colony's walls to search for mineral deposits. But today, something had gone terribly wrong. A sudden tremor shook the rocky cliffs where he was examining a mining site. The ground cracked beneath him and a large boulder fell. Ethan tried to dodge, but the rock hit his leg, pinning him painfully. Pain exploded through his body. He screamed, the sound swallowed by the empty canyon. His oxygen supply was low, and his radio barely worked. "Help! Anyone! I can't move," he gasped. Hours passed. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the canyon. Ethan's strength faded. Each breath was harder than the last. His vision blurred. For a moment he imagined seeing his home again. The smiling faces of his friends, the soft glow of the colony at night. But that was gone. The desert was silent, except for the faint whistle of the wind. Ethan's mind began to drift. He thought of his mistakes, ignoring safety warnings, venturing too far alone. He felt the cold hand of death brush against him. It was terrifying, but also peaceful. Maybe this was the end. Then, through the haze of pain and exhaustion, he saw something impossible. A figure was standing at the edge of the canyon. She was tall and elegant, with skin that shimmered like moonlight on water. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, and her long hair moved as if in water, even though there was no wind. Ethan blinked. "Who are you?" His voice was weak. The woman stepped closer, and despite her otherworldly appearance, there was calm in her gaze. "I am Leora," she said, her voice soft but commanding. "You are dying." Ethan coughed, blood staining his lips. I know. No one can reach me here." Leora knelt beside him. Her hand hovered over his chest, and he felt warmth spreading from her touch. It was not the heat of the sun, but something deeper, something alive. "I can save you," she said simply. "But you must accept my gift." "What gift?" Ethan whispered, confusion mingling with fear. She revealed a small vial from the folds of her robes. The liquid inside shimmered like liquid silver. "Drink. It is my blood. It will heal you." Ethan hesitated. He had heard stories, human myths, about alien creatures, some helpful, some dangerous. "Blood?" he asked, voice trembling. "Isn't that risky?" Leora smiled faintly, a hint of sadness in her expression. "For humans, yes, but you have little choice now. Your body is breaking down. Without this, you will die alone in the desert." Ethan's mind raced. He had always been brave, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. Still, the pain was unbearable. Every second felt like fire in his veins. If this woman could save him, maybe it was worth the risk. I'll do it," he said finally, reaching for the vial. The moment the silver liquid touched his lips, a shock ran through his body. Pain and cold rushed through him, then receded like a tide. His vision cleared. Colors seemed brighter, sharper. The desert, the canyon, the sun, they all looked alive. Leora watched silently, her expression unreadable. Ethan felt a new strength surging in him. His wounds, deep and jagged, began to close, knitting together as if his body was made of finer threads than before. He stood shakily. I can stand." His voice was stronger than before. He tested his legs, and the pain was gone. Every muscle, every bone felt renewed, almost too strong. "You are changed now," Leora said. "You are no longer fully human. My blood flows in you. You can heal from injuries that would kill any other person." Ethan looked at his hands. flexing, his fingers. He felt power he had never known, but also a strange sense of eternity. I feel strange. Is this permanent? It is, Leora said softly. You cannot die in the way humans die. You are immortal, at least in body. But remember, immortality is not freedom. It is responsibility. Ethan wanted to speak, to ask questions, but the desert air was cold now, and he felt dizzy from the sudden changes in his body. Leora helped him walk, guiding him toward a faint light in the distance. As they moved, Ethan noticed the sky. Stars that had been invisible in the dusty day were now bright and close, almost tangible. He realized he could see in the dark, hear the whispers of wind far across the canyon, smell life in places he had never imagined. Your senses are heightened, Leora explained. You will perceive things humans cannot. This is part of your new existence. Ethan struggled to take it all in. Immortality. Superhuman senses. Powers beyond imagination. It was incredible, but frightening. Why? Why me? He asked finally, voice trembling. Why would you give this to a human? Leora's gaze softened. I do not give this lightly. I have watched humans for a long time. You have courage, determination, and something else. Compassion. You value life. That is rare, even among humans. You may use what I have given you for good, or for destruction. The choice will always be yours. Ethan nodded slowly, though he didn't fully understand. He was alive again, but the world around him had changed forever. They reached a rocky ledge, and Leora stopped. Here, you will rest. Soon, you will understand your new body, your new mind. You will learn what it means to be something between human and my kind. Ethan sank to the ground, exhausted but unable to sleep. He flexed his hands, amazed at the feeling of energy coursing through him. His wounds were gone. The broken leg, the cuts and bruises, all healed. He even felt stronger than before the accident. But a part of him shivered. Immortality was not simply a gift. It was a burden, a choice to live beyond everyone he knew, to face a world that might never understand him. The desert night was quiet. The stars shone, and for the first time in hours, Ethan felt hope. Maybe he had been given a second chance, not just to live, but to do something greater than he had imagined. Leora watched him carefully, as if measuring the weight of his thoughts. Tomorrow, she said, you will see more of what you can do, and then we will prepare for what comes next. Ethan looked up at her, feeling a strange bond forming. He had met an alien creature, given her trust, and in return, she had given him life. And yet, something told him their journey was only beginning. That night, under the alien stars of Korath, Ethan lay awake. He could no longer die, but he could still feel fear, hope, and the spark of human courage. Somehow, he knew he had a role to play, in a universe far larger than the dusty desert where he had almost died, and for the first time he wondered not if he would survive, but what he would become. The first rays of Korath's twin suns broke over the desert horizon, bathing the rocky landscape in soft gold. Ethan Carter awoke to a strange feeling. His body was no longer sore from the injuries that had nearly killed him. Every muscle, every joint felt alive, filled with energy he had never known. The air seemed sharper, almost tasting of life itself. He sat up and looked around. Leora, the alien who had saved him, was watching him quietly. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dawn light, reflecting the shimmer of her pale skin. "Good morning," she said, her voice calm but carrying a weight of authority. "You have slept, but your mind and body are changing faster than I expected." Ethan rubbed his eyes. I feel amazing. My leg, it's completely healed. And I feel stronger. Is this really permanent? Yes, Leora said. The blood you drank has rewritten your body's limits. You are no longer human in the way you were before. Your body heals rapidly. Your strength is beyond ordinary humans, and your senses, they are enhanced. You will see, hear, and feel more than you ever could before. Ethan flexed his hands, feeling energy thrumming through him. He lifted himself to his feet and then leapt up instinctively, surprising even himself. He landed on a rocky ledge a few meters away, perfectly balanced. "I can jump higher?" he asked, astonished. "Yes," Leora confirmed. "And faster, stronger, sharper. You have been given the gift of survival. But remember, with this power comes responsibility. You are changed. The humans you knew will never see you the same way again." Ethan took a deep breath, letting the desert air fill his lungs. The night before he had almost died. Now he felt as if he could run across the desert without tiring. And yet, beneath the excitement, a flicker of fear remained. Immortality was not just power. It was a life that would outlast everyone he knew, everyone he loved. I don't know if I can handle this," he admitted, voice low. Leora approached him. "You do not have to understand everything at once. First, we will teach you. You must learn to control your new abilities before the world tests you." She led him to a hidden cave, not far from where he had nearly died. Inside, bioluminescent, crystals cast a soft, blue light. Strange plants grew along the walls, pulsing gently. The air smelled fresh and alive, unlike the dry desert outside. "This place is beautiful," Ethan said, awed. "It doesn't feel like the desert at..."
"Oh."
"This is a sanctuary," Leora explained. "A place where you can awaken to your true self without danger. Here your senses will sharpen further, and your body will adapt to the blood I gave you." Ethan spent the next hours exploring the cave. He discovered that he could see the smallest details, the delicate veins in the crystal formations, the faint movement of tiny creatures in the shadows. Sounds that had once been invisible to him, the flutter of wings, the drip of water, were now clear as if someone had turned up the volume of the world. He tested his strength next. Rocks that would have required a machine to lift were easy for him to pick up. He sprinted across the cave's open spaces, feeling the wind on his face. Every motion felt effortless, controlled, precise. Leora watched him carefully, saying little. "You are learning quickly," she finally said. "But there is more to being immortal than strength. Your mind must grow as well. Control your impulses. Learn patience. Understand that every choice carries weight now." Ethan nodded, absorbing her words. Immortality was not just survival, it was a responsibility he had never imagined. Hours passed, and Leora decided it was time for the next lesson. She took Ethan to a crystal pool at the center of the cave. The water glowed faintly, and when Ethan peered into it, he saw not just his reflection but a shimmering outline of himself. Stronger, sharper, immortal. "Look closely," Leora said. "You are not the same human who nearly died yesterday. You are something new. But do not forget who you are. Your mind, your choices, your heart, these are what make you truly human even now." Ethan stared into the water, trying to comprehend. His life had changed in a single night. He had been given a gift, and with it, a new identity. He felt exhilaration and fear in equal measure. Suddenly, a sound broke the calm, a low, guttural growl coming from the cave's entrance. Ethan tensed. His senses immediately identified the source. A predator, native to Korath, had wandered close to the cave. Its eyes glowed in the dim light, and its sharp claws scratched against the rocky floor. Leora's hand rested on his shoulder. "Control yourself," she said. "Observe, do not panic, you can handle this." Ethan nodded. He focused, breathing slowly. His senses guided him. The predator's movements, its weight, its intent. He moved silently, stepping in front of it. The creature lunged, and instinctively Ethan grabbed it with both hands. The predator's claws could not harm him. He twisted it carefully and threw it back into the darkness outside. He exhaled, amazed. I didn't even get hurt." "No, Leora said. You are stronger than death now, but remember, strength is not always enough. Control, intelligence, and compassion matter more than raw power. You are still human. That is your greatest advantage. The rest of the day passed in training. Leora taught Ethan to sense danger, to move silently, and to observe life in ways no human could. He learned to track creatures by sound alone, to detect changes in the air and temperature. Each lesson revealed more of his enhanced abilities. By evening, Ethan was exhausted but exhilarated. He had leapt, lifted, run, and observed in ways he had never imagined. He felt alive, more alive than he had ever been. And yet, he also felt the weight of his new existence pressing on him. Ethan, Leora said, sitting beside him on a crystal outcrop, you are ready for the next stage. You must understand the consequences of your immortality. Humans fear what they cannot control. Some may see you as a miracle, others as a threat. Your life will never be simple again. Ethan looked out at the desert beyond the cave, now bathed in the light of the twin moons. I understand, he said quietly. I can feel it. Everything is different now. I can't go back to being just a human. No, Leora agreed, but you can decide who you will be. You can choose to protect, to help, to use your powers wisely. That is the true test of your humanity. As night deepened, Ethan sat by the glowing pool, reflecting on the day. He had been given a second chance at life, a gift that defied nature. He could heal from any injury, survive what would kill any other human, and perceive the universe in ways humans could not imagine, and yet he could still feel fear, hope, love, and compassion. He realized that immortality was not only about survival. It was about the choices he would make, the lives he could influence, and the legacy he could create. For the first time, Ethan Carter understood that being human was not about weakness or mortality. It was about courage, empathy, and wisdom. And now, with Leora guiding him, he had the power to shape his destiny beyond the limits of life and death. As he lay down to rest, he whispered softly, I won't waste this gift. I'll learn, and I'll use it to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Outside, the desert wind howled gently. Stars sparkled across the sky. And somewhere in the distance, the first hints of adventure awaited him. A test of courage, morality, and humanity that would define his immortal life. The desert sun rose over the human colony on Korath, but for Ethan Carter, life had changed forever. His first steps back into the colony felt strange. The buildings, the people, even the air smelled familiar. But he was no longer the same man who had stumbled through the canyon just days ago. People stared as he walked past. Not all were curious, some recoiled. Whispers followed him through the streets. Children ran after him for a moment, fascinated by his energy, but parents quickly pulled them away. It was not just the way he moved, it was the confidence, the power he now radiated. Something in their human intuition told them that Ethan was no longer entirely human. He tried to smile, but a knot of unease formed in his chest. Leora had warned him that humans fear what they cannot understand. Even friends and colleagues might see him as a danger. He had to be careful. Still, he had a mission. The colony faced challenges, frequent dust storms, equipment failures, and limited resources. And with his new strength, his new mind, he could help in ways he never could before. The first test came quickly. A malfunction in the colony's energy core caused sparks to fly and smoke to fill the control room. Engineers struggled to contain the fire. Ethan ran faster than any human, lifting heavy debris and rerouting power conduits. Sparks flew dangerously, close, but he was unharmed. Within minutes, he had stabilized the system and prevented a catastrophic explosion. The humans who watched were awestruck. Some cheered, others gasped, and a few muttered under their breath, unsure whether to admire or fear him. Later, in private, Ethan met with Dr. Marin Vallis, the colony's chief scientist. Marin had been his mentor and friend before his accident. Ethan, You saved the core, she said, shaking her head. How did you? You weren't even supposed to reach it in time. Ethan shrugged. I don't know. I just could move faster, react faster. I feel stronger. Everything feels sharper, clearer. Maren studied him carefully. You're different. I can see it in your eyes, in the way you move. This isn't just luck or adrenaline. Whatever happened to you, it changed you fundamentally. Humans, we fear what we cannot control. Ethan nodded. I know. Leora warned me. I want to help. I want to protect people, but I don't want to scare them. You can do both, Maren said softly. But you must be careful. There are people beyond the colony who would see your abilities as a weapon, not a gift. Governments, corporations, and even alien species. If word spreads, you won't just face fear, you'll face danger. Her words weighed on Ethan. He had survived death, gained abilities beyond human limits, but now he realized that immortality came with new challenges. Humans could be afraid of what they could not understand, and some might even try to use him for their own gain. The days that followed tested him in ways he had not expected. He helped in construction, repaired damaged equipment in moments, and even saved lives during a sudden sandstorm. People slowly began to respect him, though some remained wary. But the real challenge came from outside the colony. Strange signals appeared on the communication network, distress calls from other human colonies, alien probes scanning nearby planets, and hints of military interest in Korath's unique environment. Someone, somewhere, knew about him. One evening, Ethan stood on the edge of the colony, looking at the desert horizon. Leora appeared silently beside him, her eyes reflecting the fading sun. They are watching, she said. Not everyone will welcome you as you are. Some will seek to exploit your immortality, to use it as a weapon. Others may fear you so much they will try to destroy you. Ethan clenched his fists, a mixture of determination and anxiety filling him. Then I'll have to be ready. I can't let anyone harm the colony, or innocent people. Good, Leora said. You must learn to balance your powers with wisdom. Strength alone is not enough. Humans and even immortal beings can be defeated if they act without thought or compassion. Days later, that lesson was tested. A group of mercenaries arrived claiming to represent a powerful interstellar corporation. They demanded to meet Ethan, speaking in coded language about experiments, enhancements, and weaponization. Their intentions were clear. They wanted to capture him, study him, and exploit his abilities. Ethan confronted them calmly. I'm not a weapon, I'm human, and I choose how to use my life and my strength. The mercenaries laughed, a cold, metallic sound. Humans are weak. You are stronger than your species. You will obey or you will be destroyed. Ethan took a deep breath. He could feel the energy thrumming through his veins, his senses alert to every movement, every intention. The fight that followed was swift. He moved faster than they could react, disarming them without causing fatal harm. He restrained them, with precision, proving his power but also showing restraint. Afterward, he stood over the subdued group, his chest heaving with adrenaline. Leave now, he said firmly. Tell your leaders we are not to be tested. The mercenaries hesitated, then fled, realizing they were no match for someone who could not die. Ethan looked around the colony. People had watched the confrontation from a distance. Some were impressed, some afraid. But one thing was clear. Humans could survive, thrive, and even lead when guided by courage, morality, and wisdom, qualities that even immortality could not replace. That night, Leora returned to him in the sanctuary cave. You are learning quickly, she said, but the world beyond this colony is larger, more dangerous. Humans are not the only beings who will challenge you. Aliens, mercenaries, governments, they all see power differently. You must be ready. Ethan sat silently thinking. He had survived death, gained abilities beyond human limits, and already faced those who sought to exploit him. But now he realized that the real test was not just strength, it was how he chose to use it, and how he preserved his humanity in a world that might fear or hate him. "I understand," he said finally. "I'll use my powers to protect, to help, and to lead. I won't let fear or greed control me. I'll stay human no matter what." Leora smiled, a rare warmth in her glowing eyes. "Good. Remember this. Immortality is a gift, but it is also a responsibility. Power alone is meaningless if not guided by conscience, courage, and compassion. That is what makes you human, and that is what will define you in the years to come." Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of purpose stronger than he had ever known. Immortality was not simply a life without death. It was a life with endless choices, endless opportunities, and endless challenges, and he was ready to face them all. Outside the cave, the desert wind whispered across the dunes, carrying with it the distant cries of creatures, the hum of alien technology, and the promise of a galaxy full of adventure. Ethan Carter had survived death, gained immortality, and faced humanity's fear. The journey ahead would test him in ways he could not yet imagine, but he was no longer afraid. He was alive, stronger than ever, and fully aware of what it meant to be human in a universe that was both beautiful and dangerous. And with Leora by his side guiding him, he knew he could face whatever came next. The colony slept under the twin moons, unaware that their protector was no longer just a man. He was a bridge between human courage and alien power, a living testament to what humanity could achieve when strength was paired with wisdom. And somewhere beyond the horizon, unseen eyes were watching, calculating, and waiting for the moment to test Ethan Carter's immortality once more. The desert winds of Korath were sharper than ever, whipping sand across the colony as though the planet itself were warning Ethan Carter. Ever since the mercenaries had fled, word of his abilities had spread beyond the colony. Ethan could feel it in the air, an uneasy tension, whispers of human fear and signals that were not meant for him. He stood on a rocky outcrop, his eyes scanning the horizon. Leora emerged from the shadows, her pale form almost glowing in the dim light of the twin moons. "They are coming," she said softly. "Not all humans will welcome your strength. Some see it as a threat, and beyond them, there are alien forces interested in what you can do. You must be careful." Ethan clenched his fists. "I've faced mercenaries already. I can handle them, but aliens? They are cleverer, faster, and far more dangerous than humans," Leora explained. "You will need more than strength. You will need strategy, patience, and allies." For the next several days, Ethan and Leora prepared. They mapped escape routes, trained in combat, and tested the limits of his new abilities. Ethan discovered he could sense energy fluctuations from great distances, hear movements far beyond normal human range, and react to danger before it was visible. His body healed almost instantly from bruises or scrapes, and he could leap and run in ways humans could only dream of. Yet even with these powers, Ethan understood that raw strength alone would not protect him. Strategy and intelligence would be his greatest weapons. The first threat arrived quietly in the form of a fast-moving scout ship descending toward the colony. Its engines burned bright in the Korath night, cutting through the darkness. Ethan's enhanced senses detected it long before it landed. "They're here," he said, alert. "Leora, we need a plan." She nodded. "We cannot attack openly. We must make them believe the colony is prepared without revealing your full strength. Let them underestimate us, then act decisively." Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of his body. He was faster than any human, stronger than anyone nearby, and more perceptive than ever. But he remembered Leora's warning. Power without control could lead to disaster. The mercenaries disembarked, moving cautiously across the desert floor. They had no idea that Ethan could see their every step, hear their whispers, and sense their intentions. He guided the colony's defenses subtly, moving through shadows, ensuring that no human was harmed while the invaders' plans were disrupted. Then, the aliens arrived. Sleek, silver-armored beings with energy shields and advanced weapons. Their movements were precise, their strategy flawless. They surrounded the colony with almost effortless coordination. Humans panicked, but Ethan remained calm. "Focus," Leora said. "Observe. They are not invincible. Every creature, no matter how advanced, has a weakness." Ethan watched their movements, analyzing patterns. He noticed a slight delay when their shields recharged after each energy burst. Using his speed, he darted in, disabling the shields one by one, while avoiding direct confrontation. His actions were precise, almost surgical. The humans watched in awe as he moved like a shadow, uncatchable and unstoppable. But Ethan did not fight for glory. He fought to protect, to save lives. He pulled injured humans from harm, guided them to safety, and neutralized the threats without lethal force. Despite the intensity of the battle, Ethan felt exhilaration. This was his purpose. He could not die, but he could protect those who could. Immortality was not a burden. It was a tool for good. Hours passed, and the invaders realized they were outmatched. Their advanced weapons and strategy could not overcome someone who moved faster than their reflexes and healed instantly from any harm. One by one, they retreated, unable to understand the human who was more than human. After the fight, Ethan stood on the desert floor, breathing heavily. His body showed no signs of injury. He looked at the humans around him, the frightened, the awestruck, the grateful. He realized that even though he could survive anything, it was their lives, their courage, and their humanity that made him truly human. Leora appeared beside him, her expression proud. "You are learning," she said. "Strength and immortality are powerful, but what sets you apart is your heart. You fight not for yourself, but for others. That is the true measure of humanity." Ethan nodded, feeling a strange mix of pride and humility. He was stronger than anyone, faster than anyone, and almost impossible to kill. But without compassion, courage, and intelligence, his powers would mean nothing. The days following the battle were tense. Scouts reported increased activity from human factions and alien forces beyond Korath. Ethan realized the fight was far from over. He could defend the colony, but he could not stay here forever. His immortality meant he would have to face larger dangers, greater challenges, and enemies who would never stop seeking him. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the desert, Ethan stood alone on a ridge. Leora appeared silently beside him. "They will come again," she said. "And next time, they will be prepared for you. You must learn to think beyond this colony. You must become more than a protector. You must become a leader, a strategist, a guide for those who cannot defend themselves." Ethan looked at the desert stretching endlessly before him. He thought about the humans who had watched him fight, the alien invaders, and the mercenaries who had fled. He thought about the responsibility of immortality. "I understand," he said quietly. "I will not just survive. I will protect, guide, and lead. I will learn everything I can, so I can face whatever comes next." Leora smiled faintly. "Good, but remember, being immortal does not mean being invincible. Your mind must always be sharper than your body. Wisdom will save you when strength cannot." Over the following weeks, Ethan trained rigorously. He studied alien technology, learned tactics, and honed his abilities. He practiced stealth, observation, and precision. His enhanced senses allowed him to perceive danger before it arrived. He could detect the faintest signs of movement, hear whispers in distant corridors, and feel energy fluctuations in machines and weapons. Yet even with all this training, he never lost sight of humanity. He saved humans from accidents, helped repair damaged equipment, and guided children and elders to safety during storms. Every action reinforced what Leora had taught him. Power without responsibility was meaningless, but power combined with wisdom and compassion could change the world. Then one night, a new threat appeared. A fleet of alien ships, far larger and more advanced than before, descended on Korath. Their purpose was clear: to capture or destroy the human who could not die. Ethan's eyes glowed faintly as he surveyed the approaching fleet. His body tensed, ready for action. He could face them alone, but Leora's voice reminded him of the lessons he had learned. Strategy, intelligence, and leadership were as important as strength. He rallied the colony's defenders, directing them to key positions, setting traps, and using the environment to their advantage. He moved among them, guiding, protecting, and inspiring. His immortality allowed him to face danger directly, drawing the enemy's attention while others remained safe. The battle was fierce. Energy beams streaked across the desert sky. Aliens advanced with precision, but Ethan moved faster, countering attacks, rescuing humans, and neutralizing threats. He realized that even in his immortal body, he was not invincible. He had to think, plan, and act with purpose. Hours later, the alien fleet retreated, unable to overcome the human who was more than human. The colony survived, stronger and more united than before. Humans who had doubted Ethan now respected him, recognizing not just his strength but his courage, intelligence, and compassion. As dawn broke over Korath, Ethan stood on the ridge once more. The desert was quiet, the threat gone. For now, he felt the weight of his immortality, the responsibility it carried, and the knowledge that his journey was far from over. Leora appeared beside him, her expression proud. "You have learned much," she said. "But remember, the galaxy is vast. You are immortal, but your choices define who you are. Protect, guide, and lead wisely. That is the true power of humanity." Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of purpose stronger than ever. He had faced death, gained immortality, fought enemies beyond imagination, and emerged not just alive, but wiser, stronger, and more human than ever. The desert wind carried a quiet promise. Adventures awaited beyond Korath, challenges that would test his mind, body, and heart. And Ethan Carter, the human who could not die, was ready to face them all. The twin suns of Korath rose over the desert, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Ethan Carter stood at the edge of the colony, looking out over the vast plains. His senses were alert, his mind focused. Immortality had given him power, beyond imagination, but the true challenge had always been balance. Strength tempered with wisdom, courage guided by compassion. Leora appeared beside him, her pale figure glowing softly in the morning light. "The final test is approaching," she said. "You are no longer just defending your colony. Forces beyond this world will come to challenge you. They will test not just your strength, but your heart and mind. Are you ready?" Ethan nodded. "I am. I know I am stronger than any human or alien, but I've learned that power alone is not enough. I will lead, protect, and make the right choices. That is what matters." Leora's glowing eyes softened. "Good. Then we begin." Far above the horizon, a massive alien fleet descended. Their ships were unlike anything humans had built, sleek, powerful, and armed with energy weapons capable of destroying entire cities. Ethan felt their energy signatures, the vast power contained within each vessel. For a moment he could have been overwhelmed by fear, but his immortality had taught him patience and focus. "This is it," he whispered. "The moment I've been preparing for." The fleet landed just beyond the colony. Alien commanders emerged, their expressions cold and calculating. They had come to capture him, to study him, and to exploit the human who could not die. Ethan stepped forward, his senses detecting every movement. He could anticipate their attacks, read their intentions, and react before they could strike. But he remembered Leora's lessons. Intelligence and strategy were more important than brute strength. He rallied the colony. Humans who had once doubted him now followed his lead with trust and determination. He assigned tasks, set defenses, and organized escape routes. Every move was precise, every decision carefully calculated. Then the battle began. Energy beams streaked across the desert sky, but Ethan moved with unmatched speed. He deflected attacks, guided humans to safety, and neutralized threats with minimal harm. His immortality allowed him to endure the assaults, but his mind ensured that every action had purpose. The aliens adapted quickly, sending faster, more aggressive squads to target him directly. Ethan could have destroyed them easily, but he chose restraint. He disarmed, incapacitated, and redirected their attacks, proving not just his power but his wisdom. Hours passed in a blur of motion. The desert shook with explosions, energy pulses, and the clash of technology. Ethan's body never tired, his senses never dulled, but even he knew that this was not a battle of strength alone. It was a test of leadership, morality, and human ingenuity. He noticed a weakness in the alien fleet. Their energy network, which powered their weapons and shields, had a small vulnerability. A node that, if disrupted, would disable their attack systems temporarily. Using his speed and precision, Ethan navigated the battlefield, reaching the E node and carefully dismantling it. The alien forces faltered. Their coordinated attacks broke down and confusion spread among their ranks. Humans seized the opportunity, using the defenses Ethan had prepared to counterattack effectively. For the first time in the battle, the aliens realized they were outmatched, not by sheer strength, but by a human who had learned to combine intellect, strategy, and compassion with power. Ethan stood at the center of the chaos, breathing steadily. His body was uninjured, his mind focused, his heart determined. He could feel every life around him, the humans he was protecting, the alien attackers who could have been destroyed, and the fragile balance of the galaxy itself. Finally, the alien commanders signaled retreat. Their ships rose into the sky, energy weapons offline, and left Korath behind. The colony survived, stronger and more united than ever. Ethan looked around at the humans who had watched the battle, some cheering, some in awe, some still unsure. He realized that his immortality was not just a gift, it was a responsibility. His strength alone had saved them, but it was his guidance, wisdom, and compassion that had truly protected them. Leora approached, her expression proud. "You have passed the final test," she said. "You are not just immortal. You are human, stronger and wiser than any human or alien could be. You have learned the true meaning of power. It is not for destruction but for protection, leadership, and hope." Ethan smiled, feeling a sense of peace he had never known. "I understand now. Immortality is not just about surviving forever. It's about how I live, how I use this life, and what I choose to do with it." He thought back to the canyon where he had nearly died, to the moment Leora had offered her blood. He remembered the fear, the pain, and the uncertainty, and now he understood that gift fully. It was not simply life. It was a chance to be a force for good, a guardian of humanity, and a bridge between species. The colony gathered to celebrate their survival. Ethan moved among them, helping with repairs, comforting the frightened, and sharing knowledge to ensure their future safety. He was immortal, yet he remained humble, guided by compassion and human courage. Later, standing on the ridge overlooking the desert, Leora joined him. The twin moons cast their silver light, painting the landscape in serenity. "You have truly embraced your nature," she said. "Strength, wisdom, and humanity. Few beings in the universe combine these traits as you do. Remember this always. Immortality can tempt you to pride, to isolation, to selfishness. But you have chosen differently." Ethan nodded. "I will not let my powers define me. I will define my powers by the choices I make, the lives I protect, and the hope I give." Leora smiled faintly. "Then you are ready. The galaxy is vast and threats will come again. But now you are prepared, not just to survive, but to guide, lead, and protect. Your immortality is a tool, and you have learned to use it well." Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the wind on his face. He could feel the pulse of life in the desert, the energy of the humans around him, and the faint echoes of distant stars. For the first time, he felt complete. Immortality was not a curse or a burden, it was an opportunity. He whispered softly, almost to himself, "I will protect humanity. I will guide them. And I will live this life with purpose, courage, and hope." The desert was quiet, the colony safe, and the stars above bright. Ethan Carter, the human who could not die, had faced death, gained immortality, and learned what it truly meant to be human. His journey had tested his body, mind, and heart, and he had emerged not just as a survivor, but as a leader, a protector, and a symbol of hope. Leora watched him silently, knowing that their journey together was far from over. But for now, Korath was safe, and humanity had an immortal guardian who understood the greatest truth of all. Power is nothing without purpose. Strength is meaningless without compassion, and immortality is only valuable when used to protect what is truly human. As the twin suns rose once more, Ethan stood tall, feeling the weight and freedom of his immortal life. The universe stretched endlessly before him, filled with challenges, adventures, and opportunities. And Ethan Carter was ready to face them all, with courage, wisdom, and the heart of a human who had learned to live beyond death. The desert wind whispered across the dunes, carrying with it the promise of new adventures. Ethan Carter, immortal and unbroken, would face them all, and humanity would shine brighter because of him.